What is the difference between your little self, your survival-based self, and your big self, that divine self, your higher self, that potential-based self? And why do I say that the new trend of this future of the world is not in jumping between the two or sticking to one of those sides, but in the co-creative experience of the two? So the little self, the one that we can associate with the ego, with the identity, the one that is based on the past, it's our physiology, biology, it's everything that shaped us to be where we are right now, including visible and invisible aspects. So it could be your ancestral past that you may not even know about. It could be the traumas that your mother experienced while you were in the womb. Yet it's still your karmic self. It's what creates your identity right now. It's what creates your survival and your triggers for survival. In the little state, in that little self state, we are very dependent on others. It's of course related to our inner child, although it's not just on its own. And we're drawing inspiration, we are drawing information, we are drawing knowledge from the outside, from the people around us, from the system around us, like the family, for example, drawing safety, like a monetary safety from the family, while giving something back in return as far as part of your truth, your integrity, or being dependent on the employer, etc. So when it comes to the big self, the higher self, the divine state, it's the dharmic self. It's the potential that literally in this life will never be fully realized. And we really have to understand that. In the spiritual world, we see a lot of that negation of the ego. Ego is bad, let's kill the ego, and now let's just go into that spiritual part of ourselves. And why the war is actually happening between the two polarities is because one is negating the other, and it's a continuous war. But when it comes to your divine self, what we need to understand is that, like I already said, it's the potential of your soul, which in this human body, in this one human body, will never be fully realized. That's why it's a process of many, many lifetimes. So we have this short period of time, and we have to be very mindful of how we spend this time in this lifetime, like right now, today. And that's where the little self can really help us, because it is survival based. It understands that it's limited by, by this construct of life, where it's born and it is going to die, where the divine is all over. It almost has, if we escape into that side, it can bring us to a meaningless state, because really when everything is Brahman, for example, we can say, right, everything is meaningless, and then what is this life for then? But it's really important to understand that it's also where we draw the power from, where we draw our inspiration, or we can, not always that we do. And that's where we're going to find solutions to problems that we cannot solve. This is where there will be there's no hesitance there, there's no confusion there, because it's an all-knowing state. The divine self, that kind of bigger state, will be bringing in and supporting the little self. And this is where I'm leading to understand, for you to understand that it's not the game of the either side. It's the co-creative experience. We shouldn't be escaping into either side. And they are not at war. They have to be in peace and integrated together. Because whereas if we're staying in that identity based, where we compromise in our truth because our survival depends on somebody else, on some other systems, when we are connected to the higher state, we understand that this is all a game. Okay, yes, I do have this life and it's real, but at the same time, it's also everything is a game. All of the people around me are players, and what am I here to create? And this is where we can understand what we're here to create. If we connect to the bigger self, if we connect beyond the fear and all of the manipulations that are triggering us to be given our power away somewhere else. When we connect to the bigger state of ourselves, we can draw the power, the strength, and the sense of direction that we need to persevere through the obstacles in life. Also, when we are connected to the bigger state of self and we draw that power into the little self, we then see the value of all of the challenges that we've been going through, the understanding that it was never a mistake, that it was, there's power and potential to be drawn as the healing comes through, as we are working through bringing some peace and resolution to some of the challenging situations. So we understand that the current reality, the current circumstances, they're never an actual obstacle for my growth, for my dream, for my potential to be realized. Let's say a lack of something, a lack of resources, a lack of love, or etc. Whenever we feel like we want to have something and we cannot have it, it's never really the obstacle. It's actually what brings us closer to our purpose, what helps us evolve. And with the guidance of the bigger self, of the higher self, we can see that and feel that and really embody that, because on the contextual level, everything is understood, everyone is so smart. But when it comes to life, if I look around, people are still living from fear, from guilt, from shame, and all of the actions that they make are from that state. They are not from the state of, I know what I have to do, and I'm going to do it. I don't know how I'm going to do it. What the hell? I'm terrified, yet I'm still going to jump, right? I'm still going to go. And it's not that mindless way of acting where it's like, just, fuck all of my life, I'm just gonna go into this unknown territory. No, it's also taking the responsibilities and really taking those with you. Like, you have responsibilities in life, and like I said, they are not obstacles, they are what fueling our growth. We don't want to escape the responsibilities of this person to go into this potential. We want to bring the two together. When we are in this co-creative state, right, when we are co-creating our reality with our higher self, so the little self and the higher self, they're co-creating our reality, then we understand there is no options. Like, if we're in a little state, we're like weighing different options. We're like, oh, is this better? Is that better? What has more cons? What has more pros? But when we are in that connected state with our bigger state, we're like, there's only one option. There's no choice. We just have to follow that. And we know that this is where our safety is. And that's one of the biggest distinctions, is that if we are drawing our safety from the external world, from the people, from the systems, when we're in a small state, when we are connected to the big state and the small one is integrated with the divine one, we understand, okay, my safety is based on me being in my dharma, on me playing my role, playing my unique role in this life. That's my safety. That's where my safety comes in. And in order to get there, we would have to make a lot of brave choices. We'll have to make a lot of brave actions and draw a lot of boundaries. But it's the only fulfilling path for those of us who are already awakened to understanding that being in the little state is not enough. And we may take a little bit of time, or sometimes a lot of time, in this sort of like limbo, in this in-between world state where like, well, I still am not sure if I can, fully step into my dharma. I'm not sure if I can step into my power. Like there's all of these responsibilities. Again, this comes from confusion, because it's never about giving up the responsibility, but it's about integrating them into your bigger purpose and really following that inner call and developing that connection. And I won't be able to just tell you 1, 2, 3 what you need to do in order to develop that connection, because everything in this world keeps you away from your power. I hope you understand this, and if you don't understand this, because if your safety is dependent on them, then you are compromising your life. They're giving you something, but you're giving them a lot. And that's how those systems keep surviving. If you're gonna feel like, oh wait, actually, my power, my survival depends on my dharma, then all of those superficial systems, they will crumble, because you will then withdraw your energy from them, and they don't want you to happen. So that includes family systems, because a lot of family dynamics, if not all, are unhealthy unless we actually work on bringing the healthy dynamic into it. And that is usually with our generation and coming up that we are doing it. So we can't expect that our parents or grandparents were able to do that. That was just a very different world. They did the best they could. It's all of the work environment. Yes, we again see a lot of amazing employees that are trying to come into that this new way of living, but we're all figuring out, because there's different laws that are applied to this new state of living, and everyone is like a blind kitten walking around trying to see what's right. So yes, we see already the rising, but we are the people who are building this. So we have to come into our purpose. We have to come into our dharma. We can't wait for the systems to change. We are to help change the system, to rebuild them. Not to break them completely, not to demolish them, but we need to bring the reforms. And if we want to bring the reform into the system, we have to first start with ourselves, right? Even think of the family. In order for you to bring the change into the family dynamic, into the toxic environment that is created, you want to then first understand what it is. So there is no one easy sort of like 1, 2, 3, because all of the systems are holding you back from your power. But in a nutshell, first of all, you have to understand what are the kind of rules of the old world, of that sort of give me your power world to let's co-create with you world. We have to understand the rules here and there. We have to understand those concepts. We have to understand what are we doing wrong, like what are we on the personal level doing wrong, not what they are doing wrong, but what am I doing wrong. Not to judge ourselves, because judgment, shame, guilt, all of those are manipulation techniques that we are stepping away from when we're moving into the new type of kind of reality. But to take responsibility, because when we take responsibility, we are in control. We are more in control, right? Because we are co-creating. So obviously we don't have 100% of control. We need to leave room for the unexpected, but that's only where we have some control. In the other world, we don't. Everything is, if we're just, victims to our circumstances, then that's it. So we have to understand what we're doing wrong so that we can start changing it. We have to start shifting our we have to train our system to connect to that higher self, to connect to that potential. Because what does it even mean? Like, where do we go? What do we do? It's not just about watching YouTube videos on all the extraterrestrials and understanding what are you as a star person, which are good things, you know, it's all important. It's not just about, you know, studying Reiki and doing some energy healing, receiving it. It's good, it's important, but it's not. What's the most important thing is that we learn to connect to our intuition, our gut feeling, just that kind of understanding of what needs to be done in the moment. And that requires training, that requires practice. Like anything in life, to create something in the physical world, it requires repetition. It requires your physical effort, your mental effort, your ability to stay focused on it. And that is a long-term process. So we need to train our nervous system from what we used to do to something new. But what is that new? We don't even know. And so there are guides like me. I don't know if you find any other ones that would be kind of reflecting you this kind of reality. I haven't seen any, because I've been on this path for a long time, and I've been really, like, that's been just my life mission, all for myself, to find my place in this world, until I realized that, okay, I will not find my place in this world, I will create my place in this world, right? Because those systems don't work for me. And I know many of us are like this, black ships in the family, black ships in the society, and it's very painful, because we feel that we're compromising ourselves, we feel that we can be doing something more with our life, we want to have a more meaningful relationships, more meaningful reality, but we don't know how to create it. And then we go to self-criticism about not being able to do it, and all the confusion and self-destructive behaviors, addictions, etc., etc. So it's it's juicy on this planet Earth, and at the same time, it's all important, it's all valuable, and there are tools to bring our potential into this physical and create something really beautiful. So I invite you to stay on this path. If you're already here, if you're already feeling this in your heart, then there is no option for you. You're on a dharmic path. When you will decide to do that, that's up to you. Sometimes it takes us to get to the rock bottom, but there is just no option for those of us who already know that the other world is too small, it's not enough for us, and we can't wait for other people to bring, you know, this beautiful reality that we imagine in our dream on our lap. We have to create it. So if you have any interest in discovering this further for yourself, you can reach out to me. I do this, as like I said, as my profession. This is something I'm very passionate about, and I do offer complimentary sessions, full-on, in-depth complimentary sessions. If you're interested in tapping your feet into it, or even diving fully and learning how to swim in this new paradigm world. Okay, we'll talk more. Let me know if you have any questions. There's a lot of concepts that I would like to introduce to you, but we'll go piece by piece. And listen to my past live stream just recently that I posted that talks more about this kind of concept. So with so much love, see you.